Eddie Howe's been our special guest on the Monday Night Football, the man who took Bournemouth all the way up the leagues and then kept them in the Premier League for so long as well before finally leaving this summer. How proud are you when you look back on the achievement, Eddie, of maintaining Bournemouth as a Premier League side for so long?
Yeah, incredibly proud. I think incredibly proud of everybody connected with the club that played their part in that journey. It was such a unique journey through the league, so many things going against us throughout our time there, but just some brilliant memories now to look back on from my perspective. Obviously the club's still going and hopefully going in a really good direction now again, but yeah, I look back with immense pride.
I want to have a look at the statistical breakdown of Bournemouth in the Premier League. There's actually remarkable consistency, Eddie, when you look at it. OK, there's some variance in the goals that you scored and conceded. But otherwise, it's pretty steady all the way through. 2016-17, though, finishing 9th. Do you see that as your best team, your best achievement?
Yeah, as you say, I mean, they're so consistent throughout the seasons, apart from the last one, really. So to say that was the best, I don't know. I think our biggest strength coming into the Premier League was our attacking play. You know, we always conceded goals, but that was on the back of being a very front foot, attack-orientated team that wanted to entertain, that didn't want to lose that identity at all costs, and that we were really proud of that and wanted to enhance that and continue to do that. It got harder as you went through the seasons, having lost more games than you've won, and that battle you're fighting with consistently because it's such a tough league.
Eddie, you know, you speak about that, and when we analyse your teams, we'd also about conceding goals but exciting at one end. Is that something you look to fix? But you're actually thinking, how do I do that without losing what I have here? Is that almost like the risk to reward?
Yeah, it is, and we always decided to go on the braver side, on the attacking side, because we know that if we pictured Bournemouth at our best, it was free-flowing attacking football. It wasn't sitting back and soaking up pressure and defending. Now, we prided ourselves on that. We worked on that continually to be better at our attacking play. We almost looked at that as our best form of defence, was to attack and attack hard and, as I said, to entertain.
Would you do that differently now if you got another job? Would you know how you have that balance? Because I always feel you have attacking coaches like yourself who are trying to defend better, or defensive coaches who are trying to attack a little bit better. That's almost sort of one or the other.
Yeah, I don't think you could be something you're not. I mean, my mindset is to try and win the game first, not to try and not lose it. When I go into a game, it's always, even if people will think, oh, you set up differently today, you know, you were deep lying, you were quite passive, but it was to win the game, always. And I tried to instill that into my players in every game. I don't think I could ever lose that. I don't think I could ever go in with a different mindset. And I think that's what got us success. What got us into the Premier League was that we didn't want to lose it. The last season was the hardest challenge, where we probably at times looked at the team and thought, we've gone away from what we want to be. And that was a really tough season.
Why was that? Because that's the thing. When people talk about maybe the reasons why you went down, is it wasn't so much defensively, it was almost consistent in terms of maybe goals you conceded. It was almost like the football dropped off and certainly the goals dropped off, certainly. Yeah,
I think we just lost our zip a little bit, and there's various reasons for that. I think it was a combination of factors, a lot of injuries all through the team, different positions. And I think when you lose your best players, as well documented this season with the amount of injuries in the Premier League, when you lose your best players, your team gets harmed. And I think then what got harmed for us was then confidence levels. And if you don't go out into every game believing you're going to win or believing you can win, that's when there's trouble for your team. And that's, I think, where we were last year. The ability of the team, for me, was never in question. It was just we couldn't get our best team on the pitch.
A reminder of some of the very best times there with Jason Tindall, who's now, of course, followed you into the job. So it was a big decision that you took, and there was a lot of speculation towards the end of last season. You see what it means to you there, Eddie. How hurt were you by the way it ended, ultimately?
Yeah, I think it definitely the way I didn't want it to end, but probably the only way it could end, because I was so attached to the club, loved the club with every fibre of my body, but I just felt it was the right thing to do for the club to leave. You know, the energy involved, the time that I was there to get the club to where it was and to keep it there, it's an incredible it takes an incredible amount out of you. And I think for everyone connected, a quick turnaround of the season to let the club go in a new direction.
How long did it take you to recover? Have you recovered yet?
Yeah, no, it took me a long time. I really found it emotionally so difficult in the first few weeks because every day is your love of the club, your love of the job, your love of everyone connected with the club, the players, the staff, and then it's cut and you have no contact with anybody because you can't. You've got to let the club go in a different direction. You've got to let Jason manage a new team with his staff, and you can't interfere with that. So from every day to nothing is mentally a very difficult one to adjust to.
There's always the assumption that when a manager comes out of a job that you're just desperate to get back into the next one. Is that the case with you?
No, it's not. I made my decision for the best interests of Bournemouth and for myself. I wanted to be at home. I wanted to be with my family. I wanted to see my kids grow up. I wanted to learn and develop my knowledge, my abilities as a manager. And then if I decide down the line to get back in, or I want to get back in, if I'm lucky enough to be given an opportunity, then I'll do that. But that, for me, no, I'm not. I don't want to get back in just for the sake of it. It would have to be something that really, really motivated me.
So you're spending time with the family, which is great. You haven't had the chance to do that. In what other ways are you using this time that perhaps you ordinarily wouldn't have? Well,
it's difficult with lockdown because obviously committing to that means my options of what I imagined I might be able to do are gone in terms of watching other people work and travelling around the world, gaining knowledge and just improving myself. So it's a pretty lonely existence in terms of doing that at home and reading. And I've always been very interested in all sorts of ways of bettering myself, whether that's just as a person rather than looking at football.
Can we explore a bit, Eddie, some of the challenges of being a Premier League manager? What would you say are the hardest things about that job?
I think the consistent battle you face is to get your team to be, everyone, all 25 players in your squad, to be motivated for the team, to play for the team, not to play for themselves, to keep them on with the same idea that the team has to win at all costs. And that's a difficult balancing act because every player within that team has their own dreams, aims, ambitions, motivations. You're then got outside influences, the media, agents. So it's a difficult balancing act. But that balancing act exists every day, even on a Sunday when you might not be in with the players. That's there. So your thought all the time is with the players and are they okay? Is there anything I can do to help them? With your staff, in that constant battle to improve. And I think that's what we had in my time there, was that thirst from everybody to improve. And that stood us in really good stead.
And what about the media scrutiny?
I tended not to listen to it. So
people like Jamie?
Yeah, no, not that I didn't listen to Jamie. Of course I did. He was the one that I did out of everybody.
You're a Monday night football fan, aren't you?
But no, keeping out the noise I think is very important because it doesn't serve you in any way to listen to other people's opinions. You listen to the opinions of yourself and your staff. But beyond that, there'll be one or two confidants that I would definitely listen to. But I think you've got to keep it to a minimum.
Do you think at all about if you decided you did want another job in the future, anything that you would do differently? From what you're talking about, it sounds like this for you was 24/7. Was delegation a problem for you at all?
Probably one of my weaknesses, I would say. I had very good staff with me all the way through, people that I trusted. And I probably didn't delegate well enough because I was consumed by the job and I wanted the best for my players. So there wasn't a problem with my staff's quality, that not at all, but it was more my own quest to try and imprint myself on the players.
Eddie, I always think myself, I was just at one club, and I know you've got that emotional attachment to Bournemouth as well, possibly more than you would to another club. Do you think if you went to another club, it'd almost help you? Not help you, but you could maybe manage differently without that sort of emotional attachment where you actually took Bournemouth from? Or do you think as a manager you're always absolutely consumed and get that attachment with any club?
I think it's just more my desire to succeed and for success. So for whatever club you're in control of and in charge of. And for me, you take that responsibility deeply. You're in charge of not just the club, but the town's fortunes. You know, you talk about a club like Liverpool and how football is everything to that city. You take that responsibility to heart. So you just want to do everything in your fibre to bring success to the people connected with the club. So I don't think it would change my work ethic or my mentality at all.
So what makes a great modern manager? Is it the intelligence? Is it the tactical thinking? Is it the ability to handle television cameras?
Well, I think you know what I'm going to say. I think it's a mixture of everything. I think you have to be really adaptable. You have to be able to change your mood and your behaviour in an instant. So 1 minute you might be with a player, the next minute you're in front of the media, and you might have contrasting moods, but you can't show them. So in some senses, you just have to control your emotions really well and have a deep intellect to be able to be one step ahead of problems that you may foresee coming, to deal with them before they come.